Welcome to the podcast. We Do Recover with Jared Miller, your host.
And I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, your co-host.
This is a podcast about recovery from addiction.
We want to talk about what successful recovery can look like.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
Good morning. Today on We Do Recover, I have a guest for you. This guy is a buddy of mine. Roger Folks is in the house. Welcome to We Do Recover, Roger.
Hey, thanks, man.
Super excited to get to your story. Let's introduce the rest of these characters on this thing. We got our producer that makes this thing possible, Sean Denovan.
I started to soar. Hi.
His timing's off a little this morning. That's totally fine. That's fine. And then we got your producer, the man, the myth, the legend, the doc, Terry Sellers.
I'm not the producer.
Oh, your co-host. Did I say
Okay.
producer? Holy
Yeah.
cow, I'm all over the place this morning. Let's
Yeah,
lock
he's
it
just
in,
nervous,
Jared.
man.
Lock it in. We got your producer, your co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the doc, Terry Sellers.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Is
morning.
it just too late just to start the whole thing over?
No, we're just gonna
We're a minute in. Keep going. You're
we're gonna
fine.
roll with it. So this is recorded in sunny St. George, Utah. Episode 44, Part 1 is brought to you by Steps Recovery Centers, where addiction ends and healing begins. Seriously, if you or a loved one need help, give them a phone call. 801-800-8142. Even if they're not a good fit for you for insurance reasons or whatever, they are well connected. They can find a place that's going to work best. Give them a call. 801-800-8142. Doc Sellers.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Give those guys a call because they'll help you out for sure. Well, what are we doing today? We should start with something like new and goods because we've never done that before.
Never.
So let's start. Let's shift it up a little bit. Jared, what's new and good with you? Because we never start with you.
Hey, I appreciate that. So today I figured for episode 44, I was pretty excited to have Roger on and talk about passions. And it got me thinking. I got a buddy, Corey Clonch. I got his last name right.
Yep.
It's like launch with a C in it. Corey Clonch. So Corey, he really, when we think back a few episodes ago when we were doing Sober Society and we were trying to raise money for the Sobriety Foundation, I'm telling you guys, like, I can't give him enough credit. He was key in really helping me generate t-shirt sales. And so after that thing was kind of done and we were wrapping up with it, he said to me, like, hey, I kind of want to keep doing this. Like, I'd love to make this my own thing. And I said, sweet. And so I kind of talked him through how to get a business license. And anyway, super proud of that guy. He recently just got his 18-month chip. He's a buddy of mine. I'm not giving away his anonymity. He's totally cool with me talking about him on the podcast. But he has started this t-shirt company, Relentless Recovery. So this is Roy, this cool little Roy, the Relentless Recovery Bear.
There we are.
And he's got some cool t-shirts. We had USARA on. So July 8th, they're doing a community event, and Corey's going to be there. He's going to have a table set up with Relentless Recovery. He's going to be selling these t-shirts. It's a pretty cool little t-shirt. You see this thing? Little panda bear on there?
Man, pink was my color, man, back in the day. So that's it. They say real men wear pink, so
I like it. And so Corey also does a little bit of fundraising piece in the stuff that he does, just giving back. It's a beautiful thing. So go to Facebook and check out Relentless Recovery. He's got a bunch of different t-shirts. He is on fire right now. So love you, Corey. Appreciate everything you do, man. That's my new and good, Dr. Sellers.
Well, that was new and good. Corey's
Yeah.
a super fan, right? We've got a couple of people we would call super fans of this podcast, and for sure Corey's one of those. So,
And he's a good friend of mine.
shout out to Corey.
Yeah, love that guy.
Shout out to Corey. That's a guy who lives life and enjoys it, and so that's what recovery's about,
Yeah.
right? Should we do Sean and then Roger, or should we do Roger and Sean?
Let's get Roger. I want to know what's going on in Roger's world, and then we'll
Roger.
get Sean.
What is new and good in your world
What's
today?
new and good? Every day's new and good. It's just one of those things. I'm really happy. The pace of life right now, and I'm okay with it. It's nothing really crazy, nothing really big happening, but just life on kind of that life's terms is kind of cool and kind of interesting, the highs and lows and stuff like that, and kind of getting through it. So, Let's see.
Man, Roger's grinning from ear to ear because he's got a 3-day weekend coming up.
No,
you know
that's
what
it.
I mean?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, and that's it. That's it. You know, I work for a great place. You know, I work for a good. You know, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Steps Recovery because, you know, you sit back and you look at, you know, life work balance. How about work, you know, or work life balance? You got that life work balance, and then that's something that's really, you know, for a guy like me, you know, I've been in food business. You work 7 days a week, all that kind of stuff. You work crazy hours. This has been nice. It's been a really good, refreshing. Plus, I get to do things that I love. You know, so
Maybe it's not a new and good for you, but recently we celebrated some guy's birthday.
what are you talking about?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. How was that fritter? The one with the pecans that I was
man.
like begging and pleading and dragging. I was like,
Man, if I was a baker, man, I would try to steal that recipe and put it up, you know. But I'm not a baker. But no, it was awesome. There's a great place in town that you know picked up some pastries and
Homestead, right?
Homestead, yeah.
So how was your birthday? How was that being surprised at work?
You know, it was cool. It was cool. It was a day late, you know, thanks to some people. But hey, I can't be picky. I'm really grateful. You know, 40 years old, it's a milestone. And like I said, I've said to other people is that I'm just embracing it. It's a cool thing, you know.
So the story that you don't know is Julie Watson was going to do it on the day of.
Yeah.
But she went to Homestead and it just wasn't fresh, dude.
Oh, okay. That's
You know what I mean? That's what it was.
Yeah, I think.
And so she was like, well, call us when you can have some fresh stuff, you know, so.
Yeah. Okay. I see how it works. You know, everybody covers for each other, so that's good. Just have my back when I mess up. So.
Shout out to Julie. We love that
Julie,
lady.
we love her.
Right on,
Beautiful.
Doc.
Beautiful. Happy birthday.
Hey, thanks, man.
Since I didn't catch it on the day.
Yeah, I've been waiting for you to.
None of us did.
No. Okay. See, I wasn't as bad as anybody else. Well, anybody else? Oh, Sean in the corner that I can't see. See, here's the problem with being remote is I can only see the two guests. I can't
hold on
see
a second.
Sean.
Okay,
at all,
let me just
so.
change everything. We'll just switch. There you go.
There
Does
he
that make
is.
you happier now?
Look at that. Now I know
Now
why we point the cameras the
Now
other
you
way.
gotta fix the camera again. Oh, great. New and good. Let's see. Another motorcycle rally last weekend and made it home on a broken bike.
Hold
What?
on. I thought you said that you never break down on a trip, Sean.
I said I
What he-
always make it
what he-
home. I've never had to be towed home. That's what I
What-
said.
What he means is he broke down, should have gotten towed, but he pushed it all the way home just so he could keep that streak alive. Happens, right?
It worked out good. It's fine. It's sitting in the garage waiting for some TLC.
So if you're listening to this on a podcast platform and you don't see the visual version of it, go to either YouTube or our Facebook page and see the hardcore biker Sean Denovan. He just showed himself in the video feed, and you'll just see the most hardcore biker you've ever seen in your life. I love it. Dr. Sellers, what's new and good with you, my friend?
Oh, don't do that to me. You know I got nothing. I got what do I have?
You just picked up a new gig, didn't you? You're always like, man, you're
I
the
got a
most in-demand addictionologist I've ever met.
I got a new job. I just started a new job this last week at a place called Alpine Recovery Lodge. And the new and good about that is it's the one job I have that's closest to my house, so I don't have to drive as far for it. But other than that, kind of, you know.
See, when Dr. Sellers says he got a new job, though, it's not like me and you where we
Right.
work at one place. This guy's over like 12 places. So
okay.
he should say, I picked up a new contract is what he should say.
Yeah.
And we would love for him to work at Steps if he wasn't so stinking expensive, right? You know what I mean?
I don't think it's an expensive thing.
I'm
I
just
think
kidding
I'm
about
too
that.
volatile on for Steps, which is the most absurd thing I've ever heard, but whatever.
No, but you were the original medical director for Steps.
Yes, I was.
That's
you better
amazing.
believe I was.
It's amazing. Cool. Should we get into Roger here?
No, let's just ignore that.
Let's just do this. Yeah, you know, let's just talk. That sounds good. I've been planning this out. I was telling Jared, I was planning this out, you know, for a long time, even before I met him. I was like, man, I got to get on that show and talk about me, you know, because it's all about me.
No. What you said before we started is I'm going to drag out the nonsense as long as possible, not to
Right.
get to my story.
I'm just another bozo on the bus, so hey, it's okay.
I love
It's
it.
okay.
And I'm glad that you're on the bus, the
Hey,
recovery bus.
I'm
dude.
glad I'm on the bus too, you know, tell you the honest truth. Oh, so
Absolutely.
what are we talking about? We're talking about some sports. I thought we were doing Sports Center today.
Sports
Yeah.
radio.
Yes.
Tell me
No.
about the game last night.
Yeah.
How about this? How about you tell us about Roger?
Oh,
Like,
okay. Wow.
tell us about yourself, man. What you got going on?
Well, you
Kids,
know,
wife.
Kids,
With
no
as
wife.
good as you cook, you got to be married. bro.
No, I'm not. I'm not. And I'm waiting for her to appear. That's
Oh,
what I was
okay.
told to do. I got a checklist of all the things I'm looking for, but you know what? Guess what? I got to fill that checklist myself. So
There you go.
I got a lot of work to do. And that's okay.
So, ladies, if you're listening to this, Roger is on the market.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
he's a bachelor on the market, and this dude, after you taste his food, you will be ready to propose to him.
Oh,
okay?
wow.
I'm almost there, Roger.
Oh, yeah, man.
You
that's
know,
good.
if I
Yeah.
wasn't engaged, bro, like the food, man. So magically, yeah, it's getting weird, Sean. It's fine.
Keep
So
it professional.
Okay. You know, I'm pretty sure everybody knows we're just a little nonsense here. But magically, I build my schedule. It steps around when you serve lunch and when you serve dinner.
Yeah, man. That's
Have you
kind of
noticed
cool.
how that happens?
It's weird, man. It's just like right on time, too. It's like, man, I see all that with a lot of other employees in the other buildings.
Yeah,
it's just like, wow, I haven't seen you all day. Oh, I'm just in the neighborhood, just
Yep.
come and get a bite to eat, I guess.
Little incognito.
Yeah.
So when Roger cooks, he's got to cook for not only the residents, he has to cook for the entire staff.
Right, it gets tough. I got to plan a little heavier and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay,
no,
so
it's just
single, any kids?
Yeah, I have a beautiful, amazing 13, soon to be 13-year-old. He's I call him my little remix because
Okay.
he's really cool. He's talented. And I got to give him a shout out. It's he plays the trombone, he plays the violin, he plays the piano, and he plays the guitar.
Dang.
Thankful for the programs and stuff that he does. And so I get to sit back and enjoy that. He's playing the organ or he does that kind of stuff. So he's got some talent.
He's like a walking one-man band, like literally.
That is it. That's it.
That's rad.
I said, hey, take that music career or be a musician, do your thing, do your passion.
Yes.
That's what we were talking about or what we're going to talk about. But you do your passion and you know what? Learn a trade. Be a plumber. Be a garbage man.
Don't matter.
Doesn't matter. So no, he's the apple of my eye for sure. So he keeps me straight and I'm blessed. I'm blessed for that boy.
That's
So,
cool, man.
yeah.
That's cool. If you go to your Facebook page, it's just full of pictures of you and your son, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man.
There is a picture I want to talk about though.
Yeah.
Because I was looking, and you guys are in like nightgown or hospital
Yeah.
uniforms.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. What's it called? What was the food place you went to?
Heart Attack Grill.
The Heart Attack Grill.
Yeah, you got to go there. It's ridiculous.
Where is that at?
That's over in Old Fremont Street in Las Vegas. So it's just right there on that main little drag there. So it was I was looking for nutrition that day, I guess. No, it's pretty intense. They got some Guinness Book of World Record thing going on with like 45 pieces of bacon and like eight half-pound patties, a burger, and yeah, it's pretty intense.
How did I not know about this till now, Roger?
No, it's a good place, man. And the funny thing is that my kid ordered like this sundae, this ice cream dessert, and it was everything you could ask for, and they put a stick of butter in the center of it, and he was like, what is that? And I go, I think it's white chocolate. Go ahead. And he goes, dude, this is butter. I was like, yeah, so yeah, prepare yourself to, get some calories, I guess.
There
it's
you
kind of
go.
weird, but it's
Don't go alone. Go with somebody that knows
CPR.
resuscitation. Yeah, some electronic paddles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Too funny.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Sounds like if you go, Jared, you need to take a doctor with you.
That's
Oh,
right,
boy.
Doc Sellers. We're gonna have to make a trip, buddy.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well, cool. What else? What else you got going on? What else makes up the world of Roger?
What else? I just try to stay fit. After talking about the Heart Attack Grill, now that I got to a certain age in my life, this big milestone that you guys want to celebrate on the radio or on TV, whatever it is, it's one of those things is that I want to build a foundation for myself,
Roger, why are you afraid of us telling everybody that you turned 21, dude?
Oh, yeah. That's right. Well, I say I'm 18. I'm 18 with 22 years of experience, and I posted that too,
I like that. I like that.
Right. No, that's it.
18 with 22 years of experience would make you the big 4-0, brother.
Oh, I'm not good with math, I guess. No, I am good with math. That's what it is.
You did it. So sorry. Talk to me about the
No, it's just, we run into each other all the time, in town or whatnot. You see this guy, if you see this guy, don't interrupt him at the gym. This guy goes beast mode.
Who, you?
No, you.
Talking about you.
No,
right?
you. And so it's one of those things. It's like, hey, man, I got a question about certain thing. And you're just like, man, you really just broke my sweat. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Okay.
Listen to this.
No, so he's fun and friendly on the outside, but you get him in his zone. And that's where I want to be. That's what I aspire to be, is to get into a zone. And I do. I get to be and sit with myself, throw my music on, listen to my Bone Thugs and Harmony, and my Wu-Tang and just do my thing. So no, it's a big part of my daily stuff, my routine. When I get anxious, I think I was saying, talked to you before. It's like when I get restless, irritable, a little discontent, a little uneasy. I head to the gym. And it's not that I'm trying to be a gym hero by any means. It's just trying to be, it's a mental thing. I don't know how to explain that.
Listen, Roger, you had me fooled. I thought you were training for the Arnold Classic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, there's some seriousness in that, though. It is true. I get people, I guess, have told me, like, I'm unapproachable at the gym. And the reality is, not to make this a session about the podcast about the gym, but there's some truth to that. Like, once I break a sweat, I'm like you, right? Like, I like to get in there, be productive. Once I break a sweat, I don't like to stop breaking a sweat. And so, you put on the blinders and you go to work, right? And it's therapeutic for me. Right. Like, and that's what I hear you saying too, right? It's a good way to just kind of shut out the world and just focus on getting out of your head and into your body.
No, and that's it. That's totally what it is, kind of shut off the thing,
And I'm with you, man. I'm not trying to win no powerlifting competitions. It's funny. People will come up to me and I'll be burning out with like some 15s, right? And they're like, that looks a little weird. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't care about the weight. I care about the reps.
Right. No, and that's it. I learned a lot from you, in this last couple of times. You give me little nuggets outside of the gym so yeah, I'll follow that. But yeah, no, it's one of those things to be able to sit in your head too is one of those gifts of recovery. If we're going to talk about recovery and things like that, I was the one to always have music playing and have things going, just distractions, kind of things like that. And I find it more and more. In my truck or in my car or whatever, I don't have the radio going because I'm okay with being with myself. It's funny because I cook. I'm a one-man band in the kitchen.
You are, yes.
So a lot of the clients or even some of the staff is like, why aren't you wearing AirPods or wearing earbuds and listening to music? And it's like, because I don't have to. I'm okay. I'm okay with myself, and I'm okay with. Sometimes my thinking will go a little crazy and I tell a lot of stories to myself, but I'm crazy like that and that's okay. But I'm okay with myself nowadays. And that's one of those gifts that I got.
So you made peace with being okay with yourself and made peace with just having quietness around you.
It's okay. Yeah.
I
kind of sometimes, I like that a little bit more sometimes,
I'm sure it wasn't always that way.
No.
So take me into what did active addiction look like for you, Roger?
Ah, man, you know what? Party. That's what it was. It started off with until somehow the party ended, and I was by myself and lonesome and by myself, and I couldn't get drunk enough. I'm recovered from alcoholism.
Gotcha.
And where I come from, it's my family structure, things like that. It's a cultural thing. It's a celebration thing. It's anything, and whenever we get together, good times, bad times, and so it was something like that,
Yeah, you get together to celebrate a birthday,
Right.
There's alcohol.
Right.
You get together to break bread, there's alcohol. It's a cultural thing.
Right.
And I hear that.
Right.
That's dead on.
No, and that's it. And I get into fine dining or get into the restaurant business and stuff like that. It comes hand in hand with food and all that. So I put myself in places that were just kind of like, it was accessible for me, and it was just a certain part of my life that it was something that I just did. It was just part of me. I had a romance with alcohol. It was crazy from the little.
Man,
So.
that's crazy. That's crazy. Just this week I was doing a group on how environment will break down will any day of the week. Eventually the environment that you put yourself in, the social circles and the places that you surround yourself with, it doesn't matter if you have the will of a warrior, right? Eventually you will become broken down.
Right.
It will wear you down. Yeah.
No, that's it. And it's crazy, It's, I'm no less than or more than or less than anybody else that struggles with addiction, of course the dry goods were there. Little additives were around, and somehow my path wasn't into getting into too far with some of that stuff. Yeah, I experimented, but my thing, my addiction, my purpose, my thing, I lived for alcohol, and it began with alcohol and it ended with alcohol.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things. I respect alcohol. It's kind of weird because I know, I know where it can go.
So what was it for you that alcohol did, right? So like you're saying it was a cultural thing. It was always around.
Yeah.
And so when you would consume alcohol, what was it that made it so appealing that made you want to come back to it to the point to where when you tried to stop, you couldn't stop?
It started being my coping mechanism for everything, as far as like my feelings and how to respond to different things. It was so ingrained in me. Like alcohol was so much of a part of my life that I, when, for instance, like just that feeling of acceptance.
Yeah.
Being the life of the party.
Social lubricant.
Yeah. I can talk to that beautiful girl that's probably not that beautiful because I'm, whatever.
Right.
I could be 10 feet tall and bulletproof, and I could get into tight situations and things like that.
So which leads me into the next question. Were you shy as a kid growing up?
I worked myself into it. My dad was the king of cakewalk. I don't know if anyone knows what the cakewalk is, but yeah, that's a shout out to my dad, my best friend. But he was a social butterfly, and I kind of caught on to his they call it shucking and jiving, being able to talk crazy and talk some jive. But it's one of those things. I was in certain situations I was shy, but once that alcohol hit, or once I got that feeling of here I am, I have arrived. Man, it was it was something else. I belonged where I belonged. I felt like I was part of. I'm gonna be the party animal now.
Right. Yeah. Feeling of acceptance, and
that was huge. Huge.
Yeah. And you talked about music for a sec. I've heard kind of a rumor that floats around the community, Roger. I heard that you were quite the club scene guy. Talk to me about that, man.
Yeah.
Get yourself all
Deuce Bigelow style of, no. Living in Salt Lake, Park City, stuff like that, after, in your 20s and stuff like that, you're just looking for the next party. And that was part of my life. It was part of, I got to get out there and, whatever, just to the tens or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Well, R. Kelly, we were talking. He almost got me in trouble. So much trouble, man. I don't know. But no, it's all good.
So you came up in the R. Kelly days before everybody found out he was a creep.
Yeah, Yeah.
So I can just picture it. Roger's in the club.
Stepping in the name of love. Right.
Stepping in the name of love. This little R. Kelly. Nice.
No, it was just a scene, the club scene, the whole thing that was all about it, tough guy or being the toughest or the best looking, or I don't know what it was, but it was something that attracted me, so.
That's awesome. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
People my age, I guess, nowadays, I don't know what they do.
What's crazy is they used to pay bouncers under the table. And so I had a football scholarship, and so I couldn't earn a paycheck, right? It was against the regulations. And so I would work as a bouncer at a lot of those clubs under the table for cash. So maybe I checked your ID or something one of those days.
Yeah. If I had a real one, or if I had a, whatever. Yeah, no, it was pretty wild.
But eventually we get to this point where we want to stop, or we try to tell ourselves we're going to slow down, and we get to a point where powerlessness kicks in and we can't. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, going to jail. Over and over.
I hate when that happens.
It's just weird. It's like, man, what's going on? You would think, a normal person would be like, you get your first DUI or you get your first alcohol-related whatever. Mm-hmm. You'd say, hey, man, I got a problem. Yeah, not me. It's just funny.
So what was the narration in your head when that was going on?
No, I just got a problem. I just, I got to tape it back. I got to slow down a little bit, I got to control. I was totally the controlled drinker, for sure. It was kind of funny. It's just the insanity of the whole thing. I was actually looking at prison for alcohol.
Dang.
And there's a state statute and all that. And I was in front of a judge for the second time, the same prosecutor the second time. And he hurt my feelings, I guess. I don't know. He told me, hey, the state statute, you go to prison for a year, you get another one in this 10-year period, whatever. So he hurt my feelings. So what I did was, it was funny because I ended up back at the liquor store, and I picked up a bottle and I drove home, and I think I drank on my way home after this judge just told me that. So there's some little insanity there. I don't know.
There is some insanity. We're going to get back to that story in part 2 of episode 44, where Roger gets offended by the prosecutor and the judge. Right after this little 30-second commercial break. Hang with us.
You are listening to We Do Recover with Jared Miller and co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. We'll be right back after this short break with more of We Do Recover with Jared Miller, sponsored by Steps Recovery Center and the Hilton Garden Inn.
I'm Desmond Lomax, one of the clinical executives here at Steps Recovery, and once you become of the Steps family, you're just a part of the Steps family. A lot of us have overcome substances, overcome addiction, and now we're able to help other people. Second of all, we're also going to help you in a way where you can afford to be helped. Third of all, we're going to give you the same quality that many organizations are charging 2 to 3 times, and it's more about you than it is about our organization.
We welcome you back to We Do Recover with Jared Miller, co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
And now with part 2 of our podcast, Jared Miller and Dr. Terry Sellers.
Yes. Roger, this has been a treat this morning, man. We are wired up, fired up, happier than a kid on Christmas morning, getting Roger's story. We just barely got the huge cliffhanger. He got offended by the prosecutor and the judge. How dare they, Roger?
Yeah, I can't believe it, man.
Right. And we're going to get back into that. Before that, though, episode 44, part 2 is brought to you by the Hilton Garden Inn. It's always sunny and bright at the Hilton Garden Inn in St. George, Utah. If you're trying to plan a trip, a getaway, and you want to come to beautiful, sunny St. George, check out the Hilton Garden Inn. Look them up on Google. Just type in Hilton Garden Inn, St. George, Utah. They have amazing amenities. Beautiful place, top of the line customer service. We really appreciate those guys. Right, Doc Sellers? That's where you stay every time you come visit.
How did I do?
Huh?
How did I do?
With what?
I was going to give the second plug there.
Oh, man.
How did I do?
I'm sorry. You did wonderful. You hit it out of the park.
Yeah. Good. I like the Hilton Garden Inn. It's my favorite place, so love staying there.
So what can you relate with Roger here? Were you a big club goer, Doc Sellers?
Not so much. No, thank you very much.
But you do dress to the Hilton just about every day in that golf outfits.
Not my deal. The dressing up thing is kind of my deal, but the club thing was never my deal. I'm not a big dancer, so.
We could teach you how to floss. It's really easy. That's my only dance move, Doc, is the floss.
I would prefer, I wouldn't hate learning the floss. I just would hate you teaching it to me. So
touche.
See, I don't even know what the floss is. It's like Cabbage Patch or the Running Man or something.
Oh, the Running Man.
Kid and Play.
Man.
The Running Man. Yeah.
Nice. You got Sean lit up over there. Sean, you got some experience with the Running Man? Talk to us.
Oh, yeah. No, I had my silk shirt and my Cavaricis on.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. I had a mirror in my bedroom and was practicing those moves, watching MTV and going to town. So
that's it, right.
And I could do that. I can kind of still do half of the Kid and Play. I grab my foot and then I trip over myself. But I can still,
That's awesome.
Pretend.
That's awesome.
I like it.
All right, well, should we jump back in?
Back to reality?
Back to reality. Back to life.
Oh,
okay.
Man, De La Soul. Okay.
Yeah, my guy. I love it.
No, Soul to Soul, not De La Soul.
Oh, that's right.
Oh my
that's
gosh,
right.
man. Am I like schooling you guys on 80s stuff here? What the
help me out.
Just let us be perfectly imperfect. Okay,
Right.
Sean?
Show's yours.
All right, cool. Well, so sounds like you got in your feelings with some feedback you got from the prosecutor and the judge.
Yeah, second time, too. They told me twice.
What?
Yeah, and, I don't know why. Just to repeat. It's like, okay, I got this.
Okay, so after the second time, you decided it would be a great idea to stop by the local liquor store.
Yeah. That was my main thing. It was amazing because I never knew how I got there. I wasn't, I was just like, I'm here again, And this is probably like when I was just calmed down or right before it was gonna get real. I always caught myself in the last little bit. I was catching myself like, why am I here again? You know.
But we're joking, but do you really think that you disassociated? Like, in other words, that is a sign of PTSD, is when people disassociate, and then all of a sudden, before they know it, they got a drink in their hand, or they're at the liquor store, right? Or they're at their drug dealer's house. Like, and it really is a sign of PTSD. So are you joking, or did you really sometimes like, man, am I just on autopilot? Like, did you disassociate to the point where you would just end up there?
Yeah, no, it was, and I've heard that with PTSD and how that works out, you know, and things that you had, traumatic, you know, stuff. You know, trying not to go too fast into my story. A lot of things accumulated over, you know, getting to where I was. You know, bad relationships was a thing. You know, a lot of abandonment with things in life. You know, I come from a family of 4, really tight knit. I grew up pretty normal lifestyle, as normal can be. I had both parents in the house. You know, I had, you know, normal being, you know, I guess the new normal was no communication in the home. You know, a lot of things that were kind of maybe a little shame going on, a little bit of things like that. You know, it was kind of.
But for the most part, you had a pretty blessed upbringing.
Yeah, I had all the opportunities that I could ever ask for, and I'm really grateful. You know, the way my parents put it together for my brother and I. So, it was pretty normal thing. I do a lot of shout outs. You know, I got with a group of guys when in my high school, the formative years, they say.
Yes.
We call ourselves the Rainbow Coalition. I got to give them a shout out, but they know who they are. It's one of those things that, you know, they accepted me, you know, and we call ourselves the Rainbow Coalition because we got a Tongan, we got a Hawaiian, we got a Spaniard, we got I call myself, you know, whatever, a Blexican, you know, or African American. So,
oh man, I love it.
You know, it's one of those things, and it was the acceptance piece, you know, and they held me because that was the thing, is that we just ran together, you know, and there was no judgment. You know, we gave each other a hard time in high school. You do that all the time, but you know, it was just a little group, you know.
Absolutely.
So I'm really grateful for that friendship, that's for sure. So yeah, life goes and life is, you know, we go our separate ways and life happens. Everyone gets married, everyone does their thing, and
eventually the adult bus pulls up, and most of us get on. Some of us forget what time we were supposed to be there, and we missed that stop, right?
Yeah. It just took some of us a little longer than others, you know. I don't know, but
I'm glad I caught the bus a second time around, bro, and I'm glad you were on the same bus with me.
That was the second time for me too, you know. I tried different ways to manage drinking. You know, I wanted it so bad to be a part of my life, you know. That's that romance with it. It's kind of weird.
No, it's not weird. A lot of people have described that like, I want to be normal, right? I want to be able to do these things.
Right.
But unfortunately, some of us can't.
Right.
So talk to me about the unmanageability. Like you kind of disassociate, you show up at the liquor store, like, and that sounds like unmanageability to me, right? Like, what did that look like for you?
You know, life is going to hell in a handbasket, you know, it's on fire, and, you know, I'm not even putting the alcohol that I'm buying on the fire, you know.
You're trying to put the fire out with the alcohol.
There you go. That's what it is, you know. It's crazy, the unmanageability, you know. I considered myself a high bottom drunk or whatever, but a functioning alcoholic, because I could justify why I can sit and drink that fifth in the backyard, watching the grass grow. I have everything, you know, everything to go for. I had a wife, I had my son, I had the dog and the white picket fence, right, so to speak.
Yeah. The evidence of the brokenness hadn't set in yet, and that's how you justify.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. But yeah, no, just justifying the whole thing and just how it goes. I don't know if I'm getting off topic or whatnot, but that was just part of my thing, was I could always say that, hey, I worked for this. I bust my butt for this, you know.
Right.
Leave me be. Let me handle me.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Exactly. Guess what?
How did that work for you?
Yeah, it didn't work out. It was part of that crumbling process, you know, part of that thing, you know, and that's things started disappearing and life started getting, it was kind of funny because the last couple of things I was kind of getting suspicious about the post office, the postman coming, the mailman coming to the house, you know. I was looking through the blinds. It was weird because, you know what, I stopped paying bills, and I was waiting for something like that to, something crazy happen. It was crazy. I don't know.
So you got to a point where your alcoholism consumed your life to the point where you were no longer paying for bills.
Yeah, no, not paying your bills, just being a human being. It felt like I was just out, So 2017, and I'm just I'm trying to go as slow as fast, but in a gist of things, I lost my father. He was a big rock in my family, but prior to that, I was having medical problems too. And it was because of alcohol. It was my diet. It was not sleeping. I was trying to work 3 jobs. We both come from like a oil field, and then you come back and you're trying to fill that void of money and
the grind. Yeah.
The grind, So I started having medical problems, and I ended up having a seizure at work. I was laid up in the hospital. They rushed me through ambulance, and I was in ICU for, I think, about 5 days. And my father passed away while I was in there.
Oh man! So you didn't even get a chance to say goodbye, really?
No, I didn't. And that's a little bit of amends and stuff like that. You get to do that living amends because I know he's near. What it is, but I didn't get that. It just put me through a loophole. I really just left ICU that day to be with my dad, to see him before he took off. For they prepare him and all that stuff. So
right.
It was pretty tough, and so here I am. I started drinking again, like a week after, because that's how I cope with loss. I haven't experienced this,
right?
So coping with loss and things like that. So I went and was taking medications and doing all this crazy stuff, trying to still drink and cope with my emotions. I just had a brain injury. I had a traumatic brain injury, seizure, things like that, and trying to just get through whatever I was trying to get through. And it was, it was weird.
And I'm also sure I want to loop Dr. Sellers in with this, but a lot of times when you're being prescribed medications to heal from an injury, if you mix alcohol with them, they're not as effective.
Or they're twice as effective.
How so?
Well, depending on what we're looking for from the medications, right? If we're looking for them to heal us, they're not as effective. I agree with you. If we're looking for them to make us numb, sometimes mixing drugs can be twice as effective.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, and hand in hand. It was a really tough spot. I sat in the backyard with the fire pit, and 40 days of mourning. We kept a fire going. I had this beard looking like Moses, and all kind of stuff.
For 40 days, you sat out there.
I sat outside for 40 days. I think I napped a couple times, but yeah, I kept. And one of the times I went back to get a refill of my prescription was alcohol. I ended up running over some stop sign in the middle of Santa Clara. That was so I had a little medication going on. I had alcohol going on. And yeah, just really lost I don't even know how I got to jail. I was just, next thing you know, I guess I went to the hospital. Whatever. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Was that your rock bottom, Roger?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
What were some of the thoughts as you woke up in jail?
When I came to.
Right.
No kidding. I was a lot of embarrassment. How can I do this again? This is like number 4 DUI or whatever it is, and man, this is kind of out of control, you think?
It might be.
It may be.
Sounds like you were moving from the contemplation stage into the preparation stage, right? Like, you can't. Maybe I have a problem, and what can I do about it?
Well, I went to treatment before that.
Oh, you had?
Yeah, so I went to a treatment in Tennessee, and I went there to kind of learn how to be a sociable drinker.
Oh, that was your intention going in?
Drink like a gentleman, know?
Okay.
So I don't know. But
which I laugh, and I also noticed Dr. Sellers laugh, but it's because oftentimes when you work in treatment, people have these ideas. I can do this. I'm not an addict, right? They're still in that denial stage.
Right.
Or, okay, I'll give up the hard stuff, but I'm not giving up marijuana or whatever it is. Right. So that's not uncommon, actually.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah, no, I did alcohol assessment for like the 3rd time, after because it's part of the court process. You go do alcohol assessment. I went to one of our former employees at Steps, to do that because the court needs to sign off on it. and I was telling him all this good things because I had a little bit of AA in me, and I knew the talk. You know, I could talk the talk and
You knew the lingo.
knew the lingo. And he says, "Man, you ain't doing nothing." He really just called me on my stuff. You know, he was like, "You know, you got the talking part done. It's time to start doing it if you're gonna do it."
I love it. Dude. I love it.
So push come to shove, I did my gel time and ended up going to you know, I needed something different, so I reached out and I actually did something that some of us guys it's hard for us to ask for help.
Oh man.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was one of those things, and it got me some sober days. It got me kind of feeling, you know, clearing my head, getting those clouds out of the way. So yeah, I did treatment. I'm a product of treatment, I guess. You know, I didn't do the full stint, but I went and got my feet on the ground. And
Is that after you left jail, or are you talking about in Tennessee?
no, this was okay. So in Tennessee, yeah, I just played the game, but this was after I left jail this last time. So in 2017, the opportunities just came. You know, it's just kind of one of those blessings. And so I fast forwarded to, you know, the current present, you know,
Right.
time. So yeah, I got had the opportunity to kind of sober up a little bit and kind of get things a little bit square or
Yes.
straighten out, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So
there was a news article in Apple News. There was an article that talked about oftentimes it takes multiple treatment attempts for somebody, and the average I think is like 2 or 3 for it to really take and for people to really turn around. So talk to me a little bit about what the difference between the first treatment experience was and the second one.
You know, it's kind of hard because you got to be. I would suggest to anyone that's struggling out there or having a hard time out there is you do it for yourself, first and foremost. You know, I was trying to do things for, you know, of course, I love my family. I wanted to do things for my wife at the time. I wanted to do things for my son, my family. And, you know, what it came down and boiled down to is I had to actually do it for myself.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do it for anybody else. So maybe grasping it, maybe a different perspective on how I approach things. And, you know, actually, you know, I'll tell you what, I put in my head, it was, I got to treat this thing like it's life or death, because I knew I was spiraling out of control, you know? And so to this day, I do treat my recovery or being recovered as a life and death proposition. So
I love that. And that's so true, right? Because I think a lot of times we think of addiction from a disease different from other diseases like cancer. And I'm going to get Dr. Sellers' take on this too. But like I compare it to cancer, and it's like if you have cancer and you're able to survive it, you still have to keep it in remission, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that get cancer and ends up, they beat it and then it'll come back later. What's your take on that, Doc?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this is a calling it a disease has a number of problems. I think it's a disease. I don't think there's any question about that in my mind, but calling it a disease sometimes has some problems because we compare it to diseases that aren't exactly like it, and that is like cancer, for example. Occasionally, cancer is actually curable. Right? Some people get rid of all their cancer and never struggle with it again. And in some cases it comes back, and in some cases they never get rid of it and the people die from it, even despite their best efforts. So in some of those ways, it's a little bit like cancer. But it is more like, in some cases, it's more like a chronic disease like high blood pressure or diabetes, in that you can wake up and you can do something about it every single day, but it's still there. You still have it. You can just keep your blood sugars within the normal range, or you can still keep your blood sugars within the normal range. I don't remember if I said blood pressures or blood sugars the first time, but like hypertension and diabetes, you can keep those numbers in normal range, and that person looks exactly like a normal person without diabetes or without hypertension, but they still have it. So it's different in a lot of ways. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to point that out is we look at success rates of treatment and people say, well, why are you sending all these people to treatment? It just doesn't work. Well, when you look at success rates of treating hypertension or success rates of treating type 1 diabetes, it doesn't really work either all that well. But
Right.
on some measures, it does. I mean, on some measures, those patients live longer, but they have frequent relapses where their blood sugars or their blood pressures are out of the normal range.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. That really is.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. And I love how Roger said it in his mind, it's life and death. Eventually you got to get to that point where you realize that is the truth in it.
Right.
Right.
No, that's it. Pain can be a motivator too, having enough pain, having enough being tired of being sick and tired,
Absolutely. Have you heard the old Western story about the dog on the porch?
No, tell me, man.
All right. So picture the old Western scene, right?
Okay.
Da-da-da, cactus is rolling, spurs, Okay. So you got it. You're with me.
Okay.
So this cowboy walks into an old sheriff's office, and as he's walking into
Trying
the
to figure
sheriff,
out what the cactuses are doing.
or sorry, the tumbleweeds, cactuses,
Okay.
tumbleweeds, just
Gotcha.
picture an old Western.
Oh, you just threw me off, man. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, we're good.
Okay, all right. So this guy's walking in the sheriff's office, and as he's walking in, he sees a dog sitting on the porch, and it's just whining. So he walks in, he says, "Sheriff, what's wrong with your dog?" And the sheriff says, "Well, he's laying on a nail." He says, "Well, why don't you get up and why don't you remove the nail? Why don't you do something about it?" And he goes, "Nah, he'll move when the pain gets bad enough."
That's it.
Hey,
I love it, man. I love it. That's it.
I love little,
No, that's it.
parables and stories like that.
That's it. And that's how I kind of shape my recovery too, is like with cliches and with little parables and stories and stuff like that. It's kind of those
Good
things
old
that
platitudes.
right.
Let go and let God.
Let go and let God. Live and let live.
Absolutely.
Kind of things like that.
So what does recovery look like? We got about 5 minutes here.
Okay.
So share on anything that you haven't covered. Feel free to if you feel like you want to go there. I also want to give you enough time to talk about your life in recovery today.
No, it's I guess with the treatment and things like that, I get into a program. One of the things that worked for me this last time was actually getting around some old timers, they call them.
Yes. I call them salty dogs.
Salty
Them
dogs.
old,
Yeah.
tough, grit, salty dogs.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like 5 years. I'm not talking even 10 years, of sobriety and living. I got around with some guys with 20, 30, 40 years, my first sponsor, he 45 or 40 plus years, But people that have actually been through divorces, marriages, deaths, births,
Loss of
celebrations,
kids.
loss of kids, life experience. And that's what I needed to see. How do you do that and not pick up a drink, you
Right.
know? And so that was huge. That was really a big thing for me. So I really encourage that with a lot of folks that are struggling and trying to get their grasp on. Get with people that know things, It's everyone knows everything.
That relatability is powerful though, right?
Right.
Like I'm more apt to listen to somebody who's walked through a similar situation that I'm going through in the moment
Right.
and has made it out clean.
Right.
Hasn't picked up.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you just relate with that, and so that's what doing now, sitting on a talk show. I like to talk. I'm a talker. But I'm trying to work right now in current recovery is to be a good listener, an active listener.
Today we need you to be a talker though, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I had no choice. But I like to listen. I like to, you can learn a lot from people and from their experiences, or even just from that first sentence when you sit with a stranger. And I'm not talking recovery either. I'm just talking about just the first little couple sentences or paragraphs. You can learn a lot about them, so
Just human connection.
human connection. And that's the gifts of recovery.
Absolutely.
I don't have to do those things, man. I don't have to, I can be present. That's crazy.
And our hope is that people that are listening to this can draw on your strength.
Yeah.
Can listen to you today, Roger.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, sometimes I'm a class clown. Sometimes I just say things that are random and I got a crazy sense of humor, and if you get it, you get it. You don't, and that's okay with me, that whole acceptance thing.
Right. Right.
All right.
You're good on the inside, so take it or leave it. This is who I am.
It's all right. You'll live for acceptance. I'm not living for acceptance anymore. I don't live for that because you could die from the rejection of that whole deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but now life is a lot simpler. I got peace as a goal for myself. contentment is something that's hard to reach, but I want to be content. You know, one of these days I'll get there, you know, if I stay on this right track and keep the right foot going forward, for sure, you know. But peace, you know, that's my goal. And then I'm going to fit my life around that goal.
Yeah.
So my life is going to be whatever, if I keep that in mind, that's my goal in life, you know. I could see what happens as the wind blows, you know.
I love it. I love Roger here, Dr. Sellers, because I gave him an opportunity to talk about himself and his life in recovery today, and he gave words of wisdom. Wow. Like, there was some serious words of wisdom in that. Unselfishness.
Yep. A lot of things we could follow from that.
Absolutely. How much clean time do you have, Doc?
I woke up at about 9:45, so I got an hour and 15 minutes today.
There you go, and that's it.
But almost 19 years before that, so
that's it. That's it. That's the whole thing. I get up early so I can beat everybody in recovery.
You guys are way
I'm
more
a competitor.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the mentality. You got to get around guys that have that mentality, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He easily could have started off with the 19 years,
right?
But he started off with, he's a late riser, so only hour and what was it? An hour and.
Yeah, well, right now I got about an hour and 45 minutes today.
That's the mentality you got to have, one day at a time.
That's it.
One day at a time. All right, in closing, if you could deliver any message to our listeners, what would it be, Roger?
Do not be afraid to ask for help. There is help out here, regardless of your addiction. But reach out, you know. Put the ego aside and ask for help. That's one of the things that I had to struggle with.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. Love you, dude. I do.
You too, man.
Appreciate you coming on and gracing us. Thanks, Dr. Sellers. Andy just froze. We'll catch you guys next week. Catch you guys next week for episode 45.
Thank you for joining us today on We Do Recover with Jared Miller.
Help us spread our message of hope. Like, comment, and share.
If you have any topics or ideas for future shows, please share that on our Facebook page.
That Facebook page is We Do Recover with Jared Miller. If you or a loved one needs help, please reach out to us. Again, thank you for listening.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
This has been a production from A Podcast Studio.